Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. So this came out February 27th, 1987, directed by Chuck Russell. A lot happens in this movie. This is an important movie within the Friday the 13th film series because we have Dream Master after that, and we have Dream Child after that, and then the final nightmare, which isn't the final nightmare. But the next there's three installments with the title Dream in it. It's something about dreams, right? So Freddy is a very important character within jumping into people's dreams and killing them in their dreams. So how does a dream warrior fight in a dream? Very interesting concept that we do dive into. So we are a year after the events of the second film, and we are 6 years in total after Freddy tried to kill Nancy at 1428 Elm Street. So how this is Nancy's actually back in this character. She just graduated college. She's studied she had a dream study master's or degree or something like that. And she's now at a psych ward in Springwood, where there's a whole group of teenagers in Springwood who all tried to kill themselves at some point, but are all having the same exact nightmares, and nobody knows what's going on. Nobody, nurse or doctor-wise, knows what's going on. So they call in Nancy, who's a dream specialist in this, and Patricia Arquette plays this character, Kristen, very young. This is what, 1987? I know there was a lot of problems making this film because the director would like get mad at Patricia if she couldn't remember a line or something, but he would have them working until 4 or 5 in the morning when they were supposed to end at 6 p.m. So how is this the kid's fault if you yourself can't keep track of time, A little weird. So I don't like this movie because of the background of making it, but it's a good premise. I will give it that, writing wise. And the actors were great from the material that we saw. So 6 years after 1428 Elm Street, Nancy was attempted murder. Freddy killed her mom. Freddy killed Glenn across the street. Johnny Depp across the street. And now it's a matter of how do you save these kids from all having the same dream? So it turns out Kristen is capable of taking people into her dreams. She's having dreams of 1428 Elm Street, and she doesn't know why. She's having dreams of Freddy Krueger. Doesn't understand. So all the kids in the psych ward are all having the same Freddy Krueger dreams of him trying to kill them. And then slowly by shortly, they're all killing themselves, but it's really Freddy directing them to kill themselves. It's a very interesting concept. It's not Freddy deliberately killing them. It's Freddy killing them through suicide. Twisted. It's a twisted way, if you think about it. So the head doctor of this facility kind of has a thing for Nancy, and then she's trying to convince him to get the kids to go on this experimental drug, which suppresses dreams, which eventually he agrees to. Nancy's dad is back. He's a drunk. Still a sheriff, but he's a drunk. And it turns out we get a backstory now that the head doctor of this psych ward is seeing a nun in cemeteries, and she's telling him the story of Amanda Krueger, who is Freddy Krueger's mom, who was a nurse or an orderly at the psych ward, at the part of the psych ward that was actually shut down in the 40s, that she actually got locked in with hundreds of psych patients accidentally over a holiday, and was found a week later raped by hundreds and just violently beaten, and she was with child, and that child was Freddy Krueger. So it's interesting because we get an actual conception story on Freddy Krueger. You never would have thought that. We don't get a conception story on Jason Voorhees with Pamela Voorhees, but we know that Pamela Voorhees is Jason Voorhees' mom, and we know that Amanda Krueger is Freddy Krueger's mom. It's interesting that the villains get mother figures actually portrayed to us. We don't get that for Michael Myers, and we kind of get that in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a whole inbred family, but a little different. We got to talk about those films. So what Amanda Krueger, as this ghost nun, is telling the head doctor is that Freddy's remains have to be buried on hallowed ground. That way he stops torturing these kids in their sleep. That way he himself can't hurt anybody ever again. So the head doctor and Nancy try to get information out of her dad, who refuses, and then the head doctor just forces her dad to take him to where Freddy's remains are, and his burned bones are in a bag in a trunk of a Cadillac in a junkyard. So they take them out. The bones, of course, reanimate and kills the dad, and then fights the head doctor, and the head doctor then kills the bones and buries the bones and like blesses the soil with like a cross and like holy water or something like that. So that way it's a hallowed ground, and that way Freddy can't attack the kids anymore. While this is going on, the kids in the psych ward, the teenagers, are all dream warriors. They're all being put into Kristen's dreams in order to fight Freddy together versus fight him individually. But of course they get separated in the dreams. Of course they, all get killed one way or another, or kill themselves one way or another. And then eventually Nancy's dad, after he's killed, visits her in the dream, and then that gives Freddy an opportunity to kill Nancy. And then it's a whole big back and forth. We get a funeral for Nancy at the end. We get the revelation that this nun that the doctor was talking to is actually Freddy's mom the entire time. It brings a really good question. Because there was a theory years ago with books or movies or something like that. If you are being haunted by a ghost, and if you killed yourself to fight the ghost on their own turf, would it work? It's a very hardcore rhetorical question, right? So the question then is, if you could fight your nightmares in your nightmares, how would that work? Could you do it? So could you bring people into your own dreams? Could you have a full stream of consciousness, a full SOC, a SOC, if you will? We talked about the SOC many reviews ago about something else, but like, it's a great concept to think about in a metaphysical standpoint, because what if? It's all about a what if. Could you fight someone on a different plane? Potentially. Could you fight someone in your dreams? Potentially. You have to be lucid enough to realize you're fighting someone in your dreams. And let's say you are being haunted by someone in your dreams, but you only see them in your dreams. Is it your subconscious doing this, or is it an actual lucid dream that gives you the capability of fighting this individual, this entity in your dreams? It's extremely meta, super meta, and that's what's really cool about this, because it goes more in the psyche of a dream rather than just, oh, there's a murderer who kills kids and he jumping from dream to dream to kill the kids in elaborate ways. It's more than that. This third film brings in that different psychosis to it, trying to figure out, are you psychotic, or can you actually face the psyche to face someone in a lucid dream? Very interesting. I love the hypotheticals, what if questions. Great. It's a good film with puppetry and stuff, and like his chest with the souls of kids it's a great scene. Nothing beats Friday, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Nothing will beat the second film for me. That is my favorite Friday the 13th, bar none, no hands bar. My favorite Friday the 13th, and then 4 and 5 of favorite Nightmare on Elm Street, and then 4 and 5 of Friday the 13th is my favorite, as one collective. So, that concludes this. Oh, I specifically, because I take notes, right? I have my Post-its. I have more Post-its on this side, right? We're getting Post-its everywhere. Nancy says the words, child murderer. I'm very curious, at what point is Freddy Krueger labeled a pedophile child murderer? He's a child molester, child predator. I have not heard those words in these first 3 films, and we know that Freddy Krueger is a child predator, and then he killed the kids, but like, and these kids are revealed to be the last kids of Elm Street, that the parents are the ones who also like killed him. That was the concept that we got, but like, Nancy specifically said child murderer. Child molester was not a thing. Child predator was not a thing. Child murderer. When do we see the words child predator or child molester on the screen? I'm very curious. I need to keep paying attention, because as of right now, films 1, 2, and 3, he's just a child murderer. He only murdered the kids. He didn't touch them, according to this lore. He only murdered them. But let's see what happens in the other future films, because I feel like it's a thing, but I'm not seeing it, so I gotta pay attention. That's why I'm taking my notes for Friday the 13th. I'm taking my notes for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, I don't know what timeline this is. I don't know what year the A Nightmare on Elm Street films take place, but like, we get a timeline of 5 years after the events at 1428 Elm Street is when the second movie takes place, and then a year after that, which is 6 years after the events of 1428 Elm Street, is when Nancy comes back with a degree in dream analysis or whatever, and then goes to help the kids in the psych ward. All right, on to the 7th Friday the 13th. On to the 7th Friday the 13th, and then the 4th Nightmare on Elm Street. We are almost halfway there. Almost halfway there. We're getting there. We are getting there. So many things to talk about. So many things. But it's a good thing. Spooky season's upon us. We're getting our films in. We're paying attention. We're taking notes. I can't wait for years from now when I look back at this and I'm like, haha, he did his homework. This is me doing my homework. I'm studying. I'm studying for all of our benefit. Let's talk about this together. Mucho mahalo.